Beth Nydick is a speaker, author, and magnetic business mentor, a big believer in the power of potential to catapult your business forward. She shows her clients how to strategically prepare their business to use collaboration and media to establish instant credibility to get their life-changing messages in front of massive audiences. Through her mantra of making potential possible, she co-authored the top-selling Clean Cocktails, Righteous Recipes for the Modern Mixologist, and has been featured in Oprah, Parade, Forbes, Inc., Nylon Magazine, Tory Burch, Better Homes and Gardens, plus appearances on The Dr. Oz Show, The Chew, and The Tonight Show. Beth has a sixth sense for business and strategy. It all comes down to building powerful and long-lasting relationships in a thoughtful and authentic way. Beth's podcast is called Behind the Spotlight. It's a new kind of podcast where she is taking favorite entrepreneurs off a pedestal and onto a bar stool right next to you. Let's get behind the brand and learn something new about the people we love to watch and follow. Welcome to the PR Maven Podcast, a podcast all about growing your network and building your brand through traditional and digital networking techniques. I'm Nancy Marshall, the PR Maven and CEO of Marshall Communications. I've been strengthening brands through PR for over 35 years, and now I'm celebrating the success of executives, influencers, business owners, and entrepreneurs from all around the world, all of whom have cultivated their brands and broadened their networks through traditional and digital networking methods. Each week, I interview one of these interesting and influential individuals and provide an opportunity for you, the PR Maven Nation, to gain insights from their strategies and stories. So stay tuned for this week's episode, and thanks for listening. So Beth, tell us about your career and how you got into it in the first place.
You know, how I started my career when I was a little girl. I did actually some commercials when I was very little. I live right outside New York City, and I've always had this love affair with TV. I've always loved watching it. I definitely watched too much when I was little. And as I got older and went to college, I studied TV and got my first job in TV production. And, they always say like chefs from a little kid, they cooked in the kitchen from a little kid. As a little kid, I was making my own TV shows in the basement with my brother and sister.
I love that. That is so cute. I can just picture it too. So you have a brother and a sister, and they were part of the production as well?
Yeah, not willingly, but they were.
That's great. So tell us what you're doing now in your career, Beth.
I became a production assistant first. That's what I did. I interned, and then I worked in lots of studios, and I really loved it. And after and became an online entrepreneur, I realized how much I really love talking about business and how to really get your business out there. And I found that so many people were getting stuck in the minutia of marketing, meaning the webinars, the funnels, all the stuff that you can do to get exposure. And I realized you could jump over all of that by one TV experience, right? One magazine article, one interview, one podcast interview. That can bring you the same results as all that hard work and dedication and time and sweat and tears can really be replaced with a lot of fun.
That's amazing, actually. Well, of course, I understand the power of getting a really good publicity placement, but I also feel like sometimes having the sales funnel seems like a necessary evil as well.
It is. I think you need to have that in place, but I just never wanted to do a webinar. It wasn't my thing to sit online and have nobody show up. I wanted to be able to be active, and I just felt like, how can I create a buzz around my purpose, which was to help people get exposure by doing what I loved. I started behind the camera, and now I'm in front of the camera, and I love it.
Well, it's funny you say this because, I started my career as a production assistant in television also, Beth. I worked in Maine Public Broadcasting way back when, just out of college. And I think that starting as a production assistant was a really good launch to understand basically how television works.
Yeah, it was more than getting coffee and making Xerox. I'll tell you a quick story. My first real production experience is I interned for the Tonight Show with Jay Leno. I met him in a he was doing a comedy show. I think I was 19 or 20. I was in LA. He was doing comedy, and he's like, "You have a communications major? What are you going to do with that?" And I said, "Work for you one day." And after the show, he came up to me. He's like, "You want to work for me now?" And I was like, yes. And the next day I had an internship in the NBC studios, I was the celebrity PA.
Wow, that's awesome. What an opportunity. And actually, that leads me to my next question, which has to do with relationships. So you believe in collaboration and establishing a relationship as a framework for working with the media. And what do you mean by that exactly?
You can't do this alone. If you try to be that lone wolf, not only is it lonely, right? And it's really hard, but when you collaborate with somebody, you can creatively create something that people want to be a part of. When I talk to my clients, I'm always talking about enrolling other people in the idea of the possibility of being successful in what you want to do. And to do that by yourself, glass house, it's just not I'm going to go back to it's fun. It's more fun to work with somebody, but also to work with borrowing somebody else's audience and bringing them into what you're doing, because the credibility that you have by establishing a relationship with another entrepreneur, and I always say adjacent business, right? Establishing that gives you the credibility that you might not be able to get on your own as fast and as quick, and having those relationships afford you that ability to make that happen for yourself.
Well, I love the concept of borrowing someone else's audience, because that's what I try to do with this podcast. Actually, is tap into people that have a good audience and tap into their relationships. So I'm right there with you.
It makes so much more sense than trying to really build something and just continually putting it out there into the ether. Where coming on here, your audience. You've already vetted me, right? So your audience is so in on what you're doing, Nancy, that they're like, well, if Nancy's going to have Beth on, then maybe I should listen to what she's doing also. And maybe, and then I do something a little bit different. We can both use the same audience to be able to attain what we're trying to attain, which is helping people in a way that we think is fun and exciting, because it is. I know I keep going back to it, but do you think it's fun?
Oh, totally. You and I are both extroverts, I believe, and we love to connect with people. So that leads me to the next question, which is, how is media relations like dating?
Okay, well, I haven't dated in like 25 years, but this is what I think it's like. Because it's finding somebody that you're interested in, finding the qualities in that person that you think are connected to what your qualities are, right? If they're doing something that's outside your ethics and morals, you're not going to want to be with them. So you've already vetted that they're in on what you're in. And then it's really starting a relationship. There's a celebrity that I want to have on my podcast. I just bought a couple of her products. I'm in her DM. I'm really trying, and I do that with journalists as well. I'm reading their articles. I'm talking to them about what they're doing. And I attune that to dating. You want me to be in on you and what you're all about. And that's how you can do it with media professionals as well.
Yes. And actually, I to take that a little bit further, you have to really be nice to them and pay attention to them. And,
right.
And if you really, like I do a lot of my PR on Twitter. So if you pay attention to what they're tweeting about and sometimes retweet it and like it and comment on it. So yeah, there's totally a lot of parallels with dating. I like that. I like that comparison a lot. So what tools do you use to reach out to the media? Do you use phone, email, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn? There's so many tools.
Yes, that's my answer to that. And I would add Clubhouse. I'm really loving the new app Clubhouse. I wasn't a Twitter person until I started getting really more into media and realized that that's where they are. So I'm really using a lot of Twitter. I like Instagram because a lot of the times that's their personal place to share, what matcha latte they like or what kind of candles they like. It's not all about business. And for me to come into somebody and forge a relationship, I like to do it on the personal level, because I want to have a long-term, my thought process on this is that I want to have a long-term relationship with you. If you're going to include me in an article this month, I want to do that 5 times this year. And if I'm just reacting to you or coming into your sphere and just about business, then we're not actually creating a relationship. We're creating an opportunity, a one-time opportunity.
Right. Yeah. I like that. I like that idea, because I've been doing PR for a long, long time, and I have relationships that have spanned decades. And again, as long as you're grateful to people when they provide you with exposure in the media, and as long as you respond to them quickly. And one thing I have found too is if I pitch a journalist not only about my own client, but I give them some examples of other businesses that fit. Sometimes journalists like to cover stories in threes, so I've gotten a lot of brownie points, so to speak, by offering up some businesses that are not my clients. So I think it's all about being helpful to the media and responsive when they need information or a source.
Totally. And I look at it like this, like a lot of them are younger, right? That are in TV, especially. I live outside New York, so I always think about New York people. And I think about this, 33-year-old woman who's alone in her studio apartment in New York City, and she needs me to be more than just an expert or a resource, right? Like she needs support right now. So why am I not going to be an actual person and not just a business and support them? And I have people coming back to me, and I know you have this already, but for me, it's like I have people reaching out to me to be the expert. I have people reaching out to me to put me in their articles instead of me always pushing the other way. And I think that's because I know it's because I'm adding value to their lives and not just their career. And we have to be people. I think the big miss that people have with media is that it's really about people and not about business. And that's how you build that solid relationship so that you have that 30-year relationship. So I actually reconnected with a woman who works at the Hallmark Channel, who was one of my mentors when I worked at The Tonight Show. And I sent her people all the time. I'm not right for it. Some of my clients are, but I just sent her friends of mine. If she's looking for somebody, she'll email me or text me, do you know anybody that does X? And I'm always there for her because we're also friends. We're not just colleagues.
Well, I think we have so much in common, Beth, because I always talk about how media people are people, and they're not all cut from the same cloth. I mean, they're as different as snowflakes or thumbprints, or they all have their own quirks and their own preferences. For example, some like to be contacted by telephone, some by email, and as you said, some by Instagram. So I also like what you talk about with TV people being young people who are perhaps alone right now. And I have made friends during COVID with some young TV journalists just by being their friend and being friendly. So
yeah, they say it's so nice to feel like I have an older sister, and they reach out to me for dating advice and career advice. We don't have office, I don't have people in my office anymore, right? So these are my colleagues. These are people that I can connect with on not only about an interaction about media, but let's talk about how hard it is to do X for our businesses ourselves and having those conversations. Everyone's lonely right now. You have to connect.
Totally. I know. I believe in that too. So Beth, you're so confident. How do you appear so confident on TV and media with a solid business foundation?
So I think that if you have your business set up correctly, meaning if I go to any piece of your Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, website, any information that you're putting out there, and I can see your message, it makes a big difference. Because I always say this to my clients, if you want to be, so Good Morning America is one of those places that I'd like to show up on this year. It's one of my goals, actually. And if a producer from Good Morning America goes to my Instagram and then goes to my website or goes to my Facebook, are they seeing the same thing? And when they can see the same message running through all of that, that's when you have a solid business foundation. And then when you go on TV and you do your segment and you come off your segment, the people that are watching that also get to go through that solid business foundation. The clarity that you have, the funnels that you have, the products that you have all make sense with that message. That's when you can really elevate your brand. And then it's worth all the effort of putting into getting on TV or magazines or podcast interviews.
Ah, that's good. Well, yeah, really, that's the essence of a brand, is actually being consistent and showing up the same way, not only online, but showing up the same way in person too.
Yeah, when I talk about things, you'll hear my keywords are always possibility, creating potential, being discovered, because that's my internal message. And I think that everyone should be, whatever their internal message is, has got to be the external message. And I want you to understand a little bit about who I am and where I come from, because you have to be in on me to then take the next step with me if you're a client or you're in the media.
Yeah, and I mean, we haven't talked about this, but you're really into cocktails, aren't you, Beth?
I am. I even wrote a cookbook about it.
I love that. And you're into nutrition. So how do you align cocktails and nutrition?
They're healthy cocktails. I say it like this. It's all in the cookbook. It's all your favorite cocktails just made with healthier whole ingredients and a nutritional value. Because most cocktails out there, if you want to really think about it, are all sugar. And you don't need to have so much sugar and chemicals and, the blue curacao or the margarita mix. There's so much stuff that I don't think you need to have in there, because you can do the same thing with fruits and vegetable juices. So it's not healthy to drink every night. It's not healthy to have cocktails all the time. But if I am going to have a couple cocktails at night, I want to make sure that the ingredients are going to work for my body and not give me that headache when I wake up.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
And also, people are in on that. When I say who likes a cocktail, a lot of people say yes. And then when I say who wants a healthy cocktail, a lot of people say yes. So having a message that people can automatically be in on, and I also have a whole chapter of mocktails in the cookbook. So I really covered anybody who likes to have something interesting to drink, no matter if it's a cocktail or a mocktail. So because I wanted to make sure that I could really serve a whole audience and not just a section of it.
Well, I'm going to have to get a copy of that cookbook because I'm interested in cocktails and mocktails. And yeah, when you think about it, I mean, people start their day with a blueberry smoothie and they're all healthy all day and they go to the gym. And then if you drink a bunch of sugary cocktails at night, you kind of wipe it all out.
That's what my brand message is. It's why do well all week and then ruin it on the weekend.
Yeah, right. I have done that. I've been guilty of that, I have to say.
Me too. A good mojito on a Saturday night always is good.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with more with Beth Nydick shortly. But first, I want to talk about my new book, which is Grow Your Audience, Grow Your Brand, available on Amazon.com as a paperback or Kindle or even Audible edition. And the book includes actionable advice on growing a network and growing a brand by taking care of your audience, exactly what Beth and I are talking about today. We'll be giving away a free Kindle version if you go to prmaven.com/giveaway. So we'll be back with more with Beth Nydick in just a moment.
Do you want to grow your client or customer base? Perhaps increase brand awareness? Maybe tell your unique story more effectively? Of course you do. But you may be worried that you don't have enough expertise to make that happen. Well, no worries, PR Maven Nation. Let the PR Maven herself, Nancy Marshall, show you how easy it is to get your message across effectively using a powerful yet simple tool, a message map. Nancy's training is often called informative and constructive, well-designed and impactful, with a perfect blend of theory and real-life experience. You will leverage Nancy's expertise to create your own message map when you register for this comprehensive online video training course, which is broken down into 4 easy-to-understand modules. Normally, this course is priced at $147, but for listeners of the PR Maven podcast, that's you, PR Maven Nation, it's only $29 when you enter the code word podcast during enrollment. It even includes a workbook and bonus content to guide you through the process. So go to prmaven.com and click on the Message Map Mastery course to enroll today. Remember, enter the word podcast during enrollment for a special discounted price of $29.
Welcome back, and today we're talking with Beth Nydick, publicity strategist at Beth Nydick Media, and I want to dive right back in with more questions. Beth, you create lots of worksheets and workbooks. How do you use those with your targeted audience?
I started using them with my clients, and I realized how much I can help the people who are in my community, but not maybe yet aren't working with me, to really get to the next level of what they're trying to do. So it was really to add value to what people are doing for themselves so that they can see my value and how working with me can help them get so much farther. And right now I'm really using it as opt-ins and as lead generators from Clubhouse and other, like from Instagram and Facebook. I'm sending people to those freebies, which are the workbooks, because they can see a little bit of me and my personality through how I design them or the way that I talk. But I'm finding that people are they're really liking them. And then they're really so much more in on what my products are when I'm offering them for the next time.
Well, I've been looking at a lot of those worksheets and workbooks too, Beth, and I totally feel as if you have your brand nailed down and actually the brand of your targeted audience. So it seems like you do target women in media, right? I mean,
Yes.
yeah. Well, it's working because I definitely I definitely connect with that myself. So that's the next question. Tell us about your ideal targeted customer persona.
So her name is Maggie. She's got 2 kids. She lives in the suburbs. She drives a Range Rover. Her husband works in finance. That's how I do my ideal targeted customer. I don't know about anybody else, but she likes to shop at Target, but she has, fancy underwear. I really go that deep. She has a great message. It's usually I target people in the health and wellness industry, and that means anywhere from mental health to health and wellness products to health coaches. My ideal is somebody who's been in business, but they realize that they have a nice client base, but what they want to do to get to the next level is use media to really broaden their brand, broaden their message, and help a lot more people.
I think it makes a lot of sense to have a Maggie or to have a persona and give that person a name. Do you have a picture of Maggie on the wall in your office?
Well, you know what? I don't have that, but now I'm gonna have my son draw something. He's an artist, and I'm gonna have him draw something up. I hadn't thought about doing that, but I think that'll add to the, when I'm creating anything or I'm writing a post or an email, I really think about her and having that visual. Thank you for that, Nancy. I hadn't thought about that before. I think that's going to be really helpful.
Yeah, we do these Marshall plans for clients where we create personas and we create what we call a brand manifesto, and we do a competitive analysis and SWOT analysis, but we also come up with stock photos of the targeted audience, and we encourage our clients to print those photos out with the brand story of the personas and to post those on the wall in the office. So you can, when you're writing an email, you can actually picture the person that you're writing it to.
I love that. I'm gonna do it.
All right, great.
Stock images. I'll do that. Yeah, I won't bother my son.
Well, you've got to have a picture of Maggie with her fancy underwear.
It's the little things that are important, right? The little things that make you feel good. You talked earlier about being confident on TV. Like, I do wear fancy underwear when I'm on television. It makes me feel fancy. And it's okay. And, if you're watching me do a segment, I'm in my kitchen, I'm wearing high heels because it gives me a different feeling than being barefoot or wearing my sneakers.
Yeah. No, there's a lot to that. And I actually think that a lot of people over the past year during COVID have not bothered to dress up at all. And I wonder if people will ever get back to dressing up again after the vaccine is out.
I kind of hope not. I like wearing my sweatpants, my slippers. But
that leads us right into my next question, which is, how has COVID-19 changed the way you do business?
It actually has been helpful because usually with TV and me doing TV, you have to travel to the studio, and if it's local or if you get on a plane, you have to go somewhere. So my TV appearances and podcast episodes have really increased. So it's made it easier for me to get out to my target market, for people to see me and see what I'm creating, because I really use my TV experiences as my social proof. So the more social proof I have, the more people see that my framework works, that what I'm doing is working for me, and I can help you create the same thing in your life. So increasing the social proof has been one. And the other thing is people are seeing how being on Zoom and being in front of audiences in a live way has really helped them increase not only the validity of the brand, but the exposure of the brand. And more people want our kind of help. They want to get out there in a bigger way. And it's super easy to do it from your living room now.
Yeah, I mean, I watch Rachel Ray and see how she and her husband, who actually makes a lot of cocktails, I'm sure you know about that.
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get on there. Yep.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great place for you to be. But yeah, it makes you feel so much closer to a person on television if you're like just seeing them in their own home. It's a real personal connection. So I think that is a new impact of COVID, and I like it.
I think so too. And I think that a lot of companies and brands are realizing that people can do things from home and they're more efficient, right? They're more productive and they're happier. And I think that we're all going to go that way. And I think the opportunity to do segments from home, especially national TV segments and streaming, I think that that's going to open up to a lot more people, and they're always looking for content. So the more people that are going to step up and say, hey, I'm next, the more it's going to go in that way, and it just be easier and be more inclusive.
Well, my little joke about COVID and Zoom is that I think somebody at the beginning of the pandemic got the two terms mixed up, because don't you think the word COVID almost fits Zoom better than Zoom itself? And Zoom fits the pandemic because it has been zooming around our world. So I think there was a little bit of confusion somewhere.
Yep. That's awesome.
So Beth, is there an app, a book, or a website that you have found helpful, and why?
So I've been on Clubhouse for about 6 months, and I find it really helpful. I find it helpful to find experts, to be an expert, to connect with people in a different way. Like we said before, I'm a Jersey girl, and I've definitely stepped into my Jerseyness a little bit more in the last 6 months, and Clubhouse has helped me with that, where my communication style is having conversations. So it's afforded me the opportunity to really have those conversations in a big way and show up in a big way in front of those people that I want to be in front of. So for me, that's helped a lot. The website that I really use the most now is Honeybook, for the back end part of it, to get my clients' invoices out, to really connect with them, to make it easy, streamlined for them. But those two things are new for me in the last year. To be honest, I haven't been reading a lot. My reading time's usually when my kids were out doing things, but they're home. My kids are 16 and 18. One's going to college this year. One goes to college next year. So my reading time has actually become my hang out with my kid time.
Well, I'm kind of jealous because my two sons are out of the house, so I miss them terribly. So I had not heard of Honeybook. I'll have to check that out.
It's pretty new, but I'm finding it easy to use. And get my contracts out really fast. I get everything. They can find everything in there. The communication's really easy. But what I like the most actually is that their help is really helpful, and they check on you. Like, I needed help last week. I thought I fixed it. I didn't. And even before I could go back and ask them, they were emailing me if I was okay with what I did.
Wow, that's nice.
That's customer service.
Yeah, that's nice. Very nice. So Beth, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, please go to my website, bethnydick.com. On there, you can find my Media Spotlight magazine, the workbook issue. Got lots of, like you said before, lots of worksheets in that workbook that can really help you with your media and figure out exactly which way you want to go. I'm also Beth Nydick on every platform. So if you're looking for me on any place that you are, I'm there as well. I always say, please DM me. You have questions, you want to connect, just say hi. I do answer my own DMs. And I'm always up for having conversations and connecting, because that's what makes me feel good, and that's what I want to put out in the world.
Well, and we should give a shout out to Sabina Hitchen, who is actually the reason that we're here together, because Sabina is the one who introduced us to each other. So I'm grateful to her.
I'm very grateful to her. Actually, Sabina and I are starting a Clubhouse Room very soon. It'll be out there on all our socials, so we'll let you know when it's going to come. We'd love Nancy for you to come and be a special guest, I'm sure.
I would love that. That would be so much fun. Perhaps with a mojito.
That would be nice, a clean one.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to send you a copy tonight.
Well, Beth, this has been a lot of fun. I want to thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to sharing this episode with PR Maven Nation, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Nancy, for having me. You are a rock star. I look to you and what you're doing. You mentor so many people in this industry. I hope you know that you're loved. And, I say in my podcast, I say put on a pedestal. So I really hope that you feel that from all of us, too.
Oh, you make me feel good. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it for this week's episode. I'd like to thank you for listening, and if you feel that you've gotten value out of today's conversation, consider leaving a 5-star review on iTunes or whatever app you're using to tune in. If you haven't subscribed yet, you should do so. I release a new episode each week, and subscribing will make sure you get an alert when there's a new episode. You can also join the PR Maven Nation by going to prmaven.com/nation and clicking join. It's free, and it's a great community of like-minded individuals who are all looking to learn and grow from one another. If you have an Alexa-enabled device, be sure to add the PR Maven Marketing Minute to your daily flash briefing menu. Thanks again for listening, and have a great rest of your week, PR Maven Nation.